Hello YouTube. This is what you have today. Well, it's what I have today. It is a 96 Powerstroke, and it's got the injector harness problems. So what we have here is the new injector harness, pigtails. He has asked that if I get that done in time, that I sort out his catarwonky front bumper, and he even needs a interior door handle put in, which I happened to stumble upon. You can see there's no door handle. And as with everything, I like to give it a test before I actually start working on it. And as you can hear, it's cold, but as you can see, it's not idling the best here. So let's get into it. Alright, so I'm going to give this camera a try today. I only have one battery, so I guess we'll see how this goes. But to start off with, I like having a work surface to work from. So I don't have anything to work, tables or anything out here, so I'm going to put my rack on the back of the truck. Then I'll spread my tools out, the parts out, and we'll go from there. When I'm working, I like to have a surface to set my tools out, so that's what this is all about. Everything's out. Usually I open it and one or two are knocked loose, but they were almost the whole case. And because I'm not 7'8", I'm going to use a ladder. Alright, everybody tells me the passenger side is the hard one, so that's where I'm going to start. This is the worst part. If he's wood, but this is the worst part. This job's not going to be too bad. You know, I thought you four guys were supposed to be awesome mechanics. Guess not. Sorry guys, I really wish my stand was higher, but it's not. I guess I should have splurged for that 72-inch one. Goodness, there's no reason for a truck to be tightened down that tight. It's a valve cover, it's not an exhaust manifold. Ta-ta! Set it back in there. Look at that. always good to throw your trusty torque wrench on the ground. Ha! All that wrestling and fighting to get the silly thing out, and it just falls back in. Story of my life. Alrighty. Now then, let's look at this situation. I swear, man, I don't know. This guy first. Snip it. Strip it. Alright guys, don't blame me too much for this. But I don't really have a whole lot of choice because the original foil is gone. Now the power wires are supposed to have a shield on them, and since somebody has cut off the shield, what I've done is take some aluminum foil, cut it in a thin strip, and put it back around the wiring. I replaced the pigtail, much cleaner, much nicer, and as soon as I get some high temp electrical tape out here, we'll have this bad dude buttoned up. Alright, so here we go. This is the finished pigtail, taped up. Before it had tape starting back here all the way up to the end, and it's really unnecessary, just a couple of spots through here. I did extend this a little bit longer. It just barely reached, so you really couldn't unplug it, so extended that out, made that longer. Redoing this pigtail involved removing the glow plug, igniter, and the bracket, so I had to remove that. Got that all back together, so the new gasket's in, the new harness is in, the new pigtails are in. Just me being me, I want to fire the truck up and make sure it still runs. And one thing I noticed is, in order to get this harness out to replace it on the front, I had to take this plug loose, and as you can see, I put a zip tie on it. I couldn't figure out how to get it loose. It was just sitting there. It wasn't even plugged in all the way. Which that may have been the bulk of his problem, but I didn't see it before. Alright, just for my sake, I want to make sure it runs before I start the other side of the motor. Wait for the glow plug light to go off. Actually, it's already running better, and I've only done half the motor. That's wild. Alright, so the other camera only has an hour and a half battery, and I only have one battery for it, so I'm going to use my cell phone for right now. But yes, hour and a half is what it took me to do the passenger side, fix all the pigtails. Almost everything was done in that hour and a half over there, including setup and getting my tools out. So now I have to remove the breather, the intake tube. I have to remove the bracket that supports the intake tube, and then I should be able to easily access everything on this side. This is supposed to be the easy side of the motor, so we'll get to it and get it knocked out. Alright, we got the breather assembly off all the way up to the turbo. I did stick something in the face of the turbo just to keep from dropping anything in it. I'm going to take this 3-foot breaker bar, and I'm going to break every one of these blasted bolts loose before I try to do anything else. They're just so over torqued, they're almost impossible to get loose. So I'm going to try not to kill myself and just do it with the breaker bar and make things a lot easier. But there's my pile of parts I've removed, and I guess there's nothing to do but get to it. Alright, we got all the breather assembly off, got all the bolts out, then I've pulled this wiring harness up and hooked it around the airline with a zip tie so that nothing's in my way down around the valve cover. So we should be able to lift the valve cover out and get right in here. Alright, what I couldn't show you on the other side because things are so tight is you lift this little clip here, push down, comes out of your way, and then you just pull this up, which actually that wasn't even on. But this is your glow plug, and then this is your injector. Pull that up, and then after you do all of them, then you can pull it right out. And they're all exactly the same. Push it down. And pull it back up. Pretty easy. Yep, there's all of them. Pop these connectors loose here. And that's all she wrote. She's out. Now this is the older design. If you look, you actually have a connector on the back side of a connector, and the connector is all that passes through the valve cover gasket itself. The new design that I'm putting back in, and I guess time will tell if it's as good or worse or what. This is the new design. There's no connector on the inside. It's all one piece. In theory, it seems like that would be better. I guess we'll see in time. Okay, so we've got the new gasket in. The new harness is hooked up. So now we got to slide the valve cover back in, which is sitting right here. I've already got it cleaned up, and start putting some bolts back in. Now the driver's side did have this weird little bracket in the back, and you have to remove this bracket before you can remove the furthest rear bolt. So that bolt's going to have to go in first before any of the others can go back in. Alright, so on the driver's side, after I cut away about 1,000 feet of electrical tape, it's not been tampered with. I mean, it was opened up and put back together. There's no, the factory harness has not ever been altered. So what I'm going to do is what I had planned to do on the other side. I'm just going to take the pins out and pop them in the new connector. And as you can see, it's made the same as the other one. And that should be far more than sufficient since it's the actual connector that wears out and not the pins. Okay, so we got the driver's side valve cover back on. I just replaced the pigtail connectors. I didn't actually wire it in. The factory wiring was still here, unadulterated, so I just popped the pins out of the old connectors and put them in the new ones. This one, that was simply all I did. I just stuck it right in there and we were good to go. This rear one had one pin that the wire was damaged on, so I replaced that one wire on this connector, but otherwise I just replaced the connectors and left the factory wiring intact. So I'm going to put the breather back on the valve cover, Then we'll put the breather mount back on and get the intake reassembled, and then we can fire this girl up and see if she still runs. Alrighty, she's all buttoned back up. Got all the tools lined up on the front side of the grill, so if it falls, it'll fall on the ground. And let's see if the old girl wants to wake up. Glow plugs warm up. Ooh, that's nice. There's you a good indicator of how she's running right there. Gear shift's not moving, steady, none of that chopping like it was doing earlier. I think he's gonna be happy. I'm gonna clean the tools up under the hood, and then I'm gonna tear this door panel out. But I'm pretty happy with it so far. It's not been bad. It's been about 5 hours since I started working on this, and I stopped for lunch while I was waiting on Ann to run and get me some tape. So I'm not upset at all. It's going pretty good. Alright, so we're kind of running out of daylight, so I'm speeding ahead here. Door panel's off. I already got the door handle on here. That's what's left of the original door handle. So it's on. I was told to make sure I lubed it before I put it back together by a buddy of mine. I like to use this white lithium. It's kind of messy, but it lasts a whole lot longer. He said to look and see if the door is cracked, but the door all looks really good. I don't see any cracks or anything in it. It's all solid. But this was really hard to move a minute ago. So I think what happened is it just kind of dried up. Imagine that. A handle on the inside of a truck to open the door. Just imagine. Imagine the possibilities. Alrighty. And that was the last repair for the day. I didn't think to let you see what I did. Basically, I have a bunch of these like concrete core sample things here. And I can give you a replay. How about that? I just jacked my floor jack up. Against the bottom edge of the bumper. Then I pushed it past where it was bent. So like that. So pushed it right up as far as I could get it without messing the fender up. Then I got my trusty 5-pound sledgehammer, and I beat on the bottom of the bumper down here to get some of the kinks out. Now there's still a kink right there, but the kinks are out over here, and the end result is the bumper not hanging down anymore. All the hardware that's supposed to be in that bumper's there. It was just bent. So looks like somebody ran it into something at some point, but there you have it. That was the 3 things he wanted done, and to my surprise, I got them all done today. Well, I went for a drive, and when I got back I noticed the front bumper had moved back down. So got the bumper off, and man, this bumper's a lot worse shape than what I thought it was in. but I think maybe I can be creative. I might be able to get it back in some sort of shape here. Alright, I already gave it a little bit of love. This bumper hit something pretty hard. As you can see, I worked this kink back out, which I think this kink was causing the whole thing to kind of kink in a little bit. So I beat it back out. I pulled this back out. I'm going to work on this, see if I can get this any better, and then I'm going to maybe drill this hole out a little bigger so I can run some different hardware in it. Or is this bolt? It's this hole. I'm going to run some different hardware. I think I may have some automotive grade hardware in the shop, and then put the same back together. Okay, all looks well on this side. If I set the bracket back in, it lines up with both holes. This one does not line up. So I need to flip it over and work on this bottom edge and try to shove this back in some. And then I think I can get this bumper to actually sit where it's supposed to. If you look, it's got a crown right there. Let's see. Set this back in here. Ooh, man, we are close, close, close. Wish I had some kind of a big vise, big press. A few more licks and I think we'll have it lined up. Alright, so I got it back together. I managed to get both top and bottom bolts. This is a bolt from an S10. This is a bolt from a 3/4 ton Ford. Chevy S10, 1/4 ton truck. Full size Ford 3/4 ton. Anybody else notice a problem? Yeah, Ford, maybe you should have used better hardware on your bumpers, man. Alright, so here's the end result. It may seem silly sometimes to beat a wrecked bumper when a new bumper is so cheap, but for this truck, it lines up really well. And unless you told somebody, they're probably not going to notice that the truck is been fixed. So there you have it. S10 bolts is all it needs to fix a Ford. More, what is it, built Ford tough with Chevy stuff. Well guys, I think I'm going to call it a night. I'm pretty happy with how the Ford looks now. The bumpers, it's nice and tight. It's got an even gap across underneath the grill. Truck runs good, and it's got a door handle so you can open the door. So I think he's going to be pretty happy. He's going to be here tomorrow to pick the truck up, and hopefully he's going to be real happy with it, and he's maybe has some more work for me down the road. I've got all the tools cleaned up. The neighbors' cows are migrating down to see what we're up to over here, so I'm going to grab my cameras, my gear, and load up and go in the house and call it a night. I've had a full day and I think I'm done. So until next time, get out and try something new, go learn something new. You're not going to know if you can do it if you never try. So get out there and try to do something new. I've never worked on a 7.3 Powerstroke before, and I've completed a job on one, so you just never know unless you get out there and try. Please like and subscribe and comment below and let us know what you think. We just need some work to come in because I can film what I'm doing, but we're working and trying to get some stuff done. We've got some projects over here. I wish she had recorded what she was working on, but Ann had drugged an old four-wheeler we've got out, and we got it abandoned, and we've got some repairs to do on it. But we've got some winter projects ahead of us. Next week I've got a side-by-side that needs to be rewired, just some accessories on it. So there's some work coming up. There should be some videos coming through. It's just a matter of getting things to that point where we can start getting some work done. But I hope y'all have a good one, and we'll see you soon.